Hey everybody, Zachariah J here again, living with everyone else in this new time of the social distancing. I thought I'd put together a video for everyone to show you how to put together one of these. So if you go out to the grocery store or do some sort of essential activities that you need to go out in public, you have something that's a little bit of extra precaution. It's not as good as these masks that we should be letting the frontline doctors and nurses have. We shouldn't be wasting those on ourselves, especially if we're healthy. We just need something that gets us to and from the grocery store or around in the grocery store. There's a lot of stuff out there about whether or not the masks are effective that you make at home or not. They aren't obviously as effective as the 3M filtered mask, but they do some help for you. So without further ado, I'd like to show you how to make one. I made a really simple pattern here. This is folded on half, so it would be obviously two sides. When you cut the product or cut your fabric, you would cut it like this, and then you would end up having a full sheet. This is what a finished mask looks like. It has the pleats on the side, so you get a shorter side area. It has a longer gusset dart on the top and a shorter gusset dart on the bottom, which helps you get the nice rounded shape that goes around your face. So it's nice and comfy, and without further ado, let's see how to sew one together. Okay, so here you see me in the shop. I've already cut my pattern pieces. For the outside, I just used some cotton fabric that I got at Joann's. And the inside, I used the polyester knit so it would be nice and soft on my face. And what I'm doing here is I'm making a clean finish gusset. I'm lining up all the edges, but that little diagonal piece on top of the nose would be this upper part, and the diagonal piece on the bottom is a little bit shorter, and that's what goes underneath the chin. I used a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and for those of you who are just new to sewing, 1/4 inch seam allowance basically means the stitch line is 1/4 inch from the edge of the fabric. So I noticed that the fabrics are, one is on top of the other, not wrapped around. This makes it so it's clean finished when you're finished sewing. Which I will show you here. Now you can see it's nice and clean on the outside, on the inside as well. You don't see the seam, or the raw edge rather, of the fabric. That's what clean finish means. Now I'm going to do the pleats. So there's notches. You can't really see them very well in the video right here, but the top notch is the first fold, and then the next notch is the next fold, and so you just accordion your way down. You'll see other people make videos like this, and they'll use pins. As you can see, I'm in a manufacturing environment here. I don't allow any of my folks in my shop to use pins because we're making product that make it out to the public. And if you use pins and one of them accidentally gets in the product and goes out to the public and they stab themselves, that's not a good thing. You don't want to hurt your clients, or your people that buy your product. So there you can see the pleat notches where you fold. The important part of this, and it's really easy when you have a print like this that's oriented top to bottom, to remember which way to make the pleats. You want the pleats facing down, but when you're sewing back and forth, you have to do the pleat one way on one side, and then it appears to be going the other way on the other side. As you can see, I have the product facing away from me, so I need to fold the pleats towards the foot as opposed to the first where I was folding them away. So there you have the pleats. And remember, the top is where the longer notch is on the middle, and the bottom is short. I'm fortunate enough that I have a folder. If you don't have a folder, you'll have to sew on the binding and then roll it around the edge and then re-sew it. But I have a folder, so I can just sew the edges. And again, I'm working in a production environment, so I'm not going to make just one of these. So to save time, I'm just going to sew a long string of these. Save time for me making the product, not necessarily saving time for the video, but you'll see me sewing along, and maybe I'll fast forward a little bit here. So you can see I'm going a lot faster here. I wish I could sew this fast. This would be great. But I pre-cut these strips into the exact length that I want the top and bottom tie straps to be. So you saw I just inserted another strap. I'm just using one of those as the sides. I can get about 7 per strap. And now that I've put a bunch of them together, it's the tedious process of separating them. So just clipping right where I need to end it. I didn't back tack the edges, obviously, because the next piece of binding is going to catch it, so it should be fine. And you can see they're nice and done. Now I take the straps and I find the center and I just use a piece of chalk to mark it. And you'll see why here in a minute. This is just standard wax chalk. That's what I use. I've already got a piece of binding in the binder started. So basically I just sew off a bunch of it. And that mark, I am looking at this point on my binder. You can see that mark is right there. When that mark gets to about there, that's when I want to start sewing in my mask. So this is roughly going to put that mark right in the middle of my mask. I'm not super concerned about if it's 1 or 2 inches longer on either side. You'll still be able to tie it just fine. And since it's a very long strap, you probably won't even notice if it's off by as much as that. And then, of course, just sew off the rest on the other side. Then trim your tails, insert my next piece of binding. And again, if you don't have a binder, there's other videos out there showing you how to put on binding where you do a cheater stitch where you sew it onto the edge and then you steam it, folding it around, and some people pin it. Again, I'm against pins. I never use pins. Even when I am doing these cheater steps that I'm explaining. But basically, this is how to put on the straps. I think I have it down to about 6 minutes per mask. I guess I have to total up how much time it takes me to make 10 and then divide it by 10 because I usually do 10 at a time. But pretty simple. Once you do finish it this way, though, one drawback is I've got no back tack at the end of these straps. So what I do here in this next step is basically I go back to a single needle machine and I back tack right up to the edge. So I start and stop a stitch about an inch from the end and I back tack there and then I sew right up to the end and then back tack again. And the reason I'm doing this is just so when you're constantly using the product, the binding doesn't unravel and the stitch come out. Also, when you throw this in the washing machine, which is machine washable, I don't want my binding to unravel and then I have nothing to sew or hold the mask onto my face. So basically, do that to the 4 ends and then the mask is done. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will try and post up the pattern into the comments below as well. And if you like the video, please hit a like. Also, if you make one, you can post a picture to me or into the comments, maybe. Anyway, thanks for watching.